Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome here in France under the sun of the beautiful circuit Paul Ricard, the highest test track of Paul Ricard in the south of France. My name is Guillaume Alvarez, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all for the round number 5 of the European Virtual Funcup Series. Round 5 of this fantastic championship put together by Andrew and Riley Phillips. We are live on Riley Motorsports channel, Twitch and YouTube, as well as Facebook, wherever you are in the world following us. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us for what will be a fantastic night of close and wheel-to-wheel racing, no doubt, as it has been the case since the kickoff of this series a couple of weeks ago in Assen, the Netherlands. We've been through a couple of very great French tracks over the past few weeks: Dijon, Manicourt, Le Dénon, and now Paul Ricard. One of the most modern facilities in France, host of the Formula One French Grand Prix, and this time around for the round 5th of the European Series of Virtual Fun Cup. It is my pleasure to have by my side for tonight Chaz Draycott, fellow commentator from Britain. Hello, Chaz. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Guillaume. I'm really looking forward to this one. Fun Cup has been something that I've had my eye on for years around all of the British circuits, and obviously the European one as well now, going around the fantastic but somewhat Marmite Paul Ricard. And I tell you what, these cars, it's not really a combination I'd usually think of around here, but I tell you what, with them being centrally seated, and, well, we've seen a lot of the guys oversteering a lot in practice, it's certainly going to be an exciting evening for those involved. And even if we do have a small grid this evening, I tell you what, the racing is going to be absolutely top-notch as always, I'm sure.
And we shall see if the tactic will be paying off for Louis Laquiez, maybe stealing pole position from Riley Phillips.
Yeah, it's looking like it's not quite working his way at the moment. It looks actually like Antoine's holding him up more than anything. And Antoine's trying his best, but you can see he's having some real understeer moments here and there. And I think while the slipstream may be helping a tiny bit, he sort of mid-corner, he's actually holding up Louis. So they're just coming around the final corner now. This is going to be their last attempt. It looks like he's actually up a bit. Oh, there's contact between the pair of them. I can't believe it. He's turned him around at the end of the session. And the race logic timer there, he was actually showing that he was almost half a second up. I can't believe it.
There's going to be green light in a few just seconds in Paul Ricard. There you go.
Here we go then. The lights are on. And race one of the evening is away. And, oh, there's a bad start for one of the cars in the middle. That was Christoph Schinkel, who I mentioned before. He really didn't get away well. Looks like Riley's got the jump then. Riley managing to keep the lead from Louis Laquiez. Third place still, Max Leonard. Louis has to go defensive into turn one there. And, oh, he's gone wide, actually. He's gone really wide as Louis Laquiez. They're side-by-side, a little bit of contact and trying to come through there as well as Enzo Maracciani. As well, nearly a bit of contact. He's got his teammate Antoine Laquiez as well there. So getting absolutely hounded by the No Limits cars at the moment as they go second, third and fourth. That's not the start Max Leonard wanted, because now Riley Phillips is going to try and break away here, Guillaume. That's not quite the way he had it planned.
Et voilà, chers amis, nous sommes partis feu vert pour cette première épreuve de la soirée ici sur le circuit Paul Ricard, et un départ fulgurant de la part du pole sitter, de celui qui était en pole position, Riley Phillips, jeune pilote britannique. Deuxième position, eh bien, pour les frères Laquiez, ainsi que Robin Donat, Enzo Bacciarani dans son paquet ce soir. Donc nous avons vraiment les trois représentants du No Limit Racing, tout de noir vêtus. Vous ne pouvez pas les manquer en deuxième, troisième, quatrième position. Mais regardez Maxime Minard qui veut déjà tenter de remonter tant bien que mal sur Antoine Laquiez, l'un des deux frères français dans cette compétition, et Maxime Minard qui double superbement, qui prend la corde dans le ralentisseur, pourrais-je dire, de la ligne droite du Mistral. Mais Antoine Laquiez, ne l'entend pas cette oreille et contre-attaque, mais ils sont côte à côte dans la suite de la ligne droite. Ça va être très très serré entre Maxime Minard et Antoine Laquiez là-bas, la bataille pour la quatrième position, et ce qui permet à Riley Phillips eh bien, de prendre la poudre d'escampette avec Louis Laquiez et Robin Donat juste derrière lui. Robin Donat, je le disais juste avant, qui est remplacé ce soir par Enzo Baracciani, son compatriote français, dans le baquet de cette No Limit Racing. Mais pour l'instant, la bataille qui nous occupe en direct sur votre écran, eh bien, c'est Maxime Minard, le leader provisoire du championnat au volant de cette superbe 339 et cette livrée si particulière qui a demandé, eh bien, figurez-vous, 3 semaines de travail. Elle rappelle un petit peu la Flower Power numéro 50 de Hugo de Wild, qui malheureusement n'est pas des nôtres ce soir. Mais la machine du M3M de Jean-Luc Dubois eh bien, est occupée à batailler ferme pour le top 4 et peut-être même pour la victoire, évidemment, puisque Maxime Liénard aura à cœur eh bien, de consolider sa première place provisoire dans ce qui est la 5e épreuve du championnat virtuel de Funcup. On boucle déjà le premier tour. Riley Phillips, 8 dixièmes d'avance sur Louis Laquiez, 3e position pour Enzo Baracciani là-bas, juste devant Maxime Liénard, Vincent Ducluseau, Antoine Laquez qui a perdu un peu de terrain en 6e position, Axel Soyer 7e dans la hiérarchie, Eric Stéline 8e devant Pierre-André Guillaume, Marwan Adjouch et Christophe Schinkel, malheureusement déjà absent dans cette hiérarchie puisque Christophe Schinkel eh bien, a dû se retirer après même la conclusion de ce premier tour. Voilà, on est parti pour un peu moins de 30 minutes désormais d'épreuve dans ce qui constitue cette double confrontation de 30 minutes ici sur le Paul Ricard avec Riley Phillips qui mène les débats d'entrée de jeu. Riley Phillips et qui a faim de victoire, évidemment. Il est passé à côté lors de la précédente manche de l'Edenon. Il va bien conserver eh bien, la tête des autorités jusqu'au terme de cette épreuve. Thank you, Chaz.
Well, that was a hell of a first lap there. We saw a brilliant switchback from Max Liénard, and then just trying to get in there as well was Vincent Duclageau, but he didn't quite make it in the end. And somehow, Antoine Laquiez has managed to get himself back up into 4th place. He really fended them off very strongly. And now he's back there with his 2 teammates ahead of him. And of course, Riley Phillips leading this race. In the background, we had Pierre-André Guillaume getting very close with, I believe it might have been Christophe Schinkel, or it could have been Eric Steinland. I think, actually, it looks like the gap has opened up now. I think he might have tried to make the move, and it hasn't worked out for him, I'm afraid. So he's going to have dropped back now. He's in P9. But Riley Phillips, you can see, leading the way at the moment. Just under 7/10 of a second back to Louis Laquiez in the first of 3 No Limits racing cars chasing him down.
Half a second between Riley Phillips and Louis Laquiez. I think that Louis is putting everything that he has now to chase Riley Phillips in the lead. Riley, who had a fantastic start and an opening lap with pretty much no worries for the British driver, but now he's going to have to count with Louis Laquiez. As you can see behind Enzo, his new teammate in the No Limit Racing, is losing a minute of ground, down 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds now in 3rd place. Then Antoine Laquiez, who dropped down a little bit in 4th, 1.7 seconds in 4th place. But now the battle is on, Chaz, for 1st place. And we were expecting Maxime Liénard to give Riley Phillips a hard time in the opening stages of this race. It's not happening yet. Maxime is going to have to fight back quite a lot just to make the connection, or maybe just to finish on the podium, actually. So now it's going to be interesting just to see how the race goes from this point, with a third of the distance now completed. And you can see that still a second between Riley Phillips and Louis Laquiez, as you can see the 2 leaders now in the lead. But to me, if Louis can actually hold this position and hold this gap as long as he can, and maybe try to put some more pressure on Riley towards the end of the race, anything's still possible for Louis.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were saying during qualifying, with the amount of runoff and lack of scenery for you to run into around here, it's easy for these guys to push it that little bit too hard, just thinking they can get away with it and maybe make a mistake and completely spin the car. I mean, we saw a couple of guys in qualifying just coming out of turns 1 and 2, just as they get over the crest, putting the power on a little bit too early, and the car will rotate. So that's all that Louis Laquiez needs to just force Riley into doing at the moment. And Riley is starting to open up that gap a little bit now. So I think that is going to be Louis' only chance, is to pray for a mistake from him. Riley's doing a good job of keeping this gap and extending it, if anything. We've got Baracciani in 3rd place. Here's Antoine Laquiez just chasing him down now. The 2 teammates 3rd and 4th. But it looks like Max Liénard hasn't managed to make much of an inroad to them at the moment. Soyez is into 6th place ahead of Duclageau. I think Duclageau might have made a mistake somewhere, because he's actually dropped off quite a bit from those guys. So he's definitely needing to recover from that one. We've got Ajouge in 9th. Then we've got Guillaume in 10th. And, Ajouge has actually just gone past. Eric's around in the background. That's Eric Steinlin, who has spun the car. And I think he might have hit the wall on the inside. But that goes back to what I was saying before, where they can get on the throttle a bit too easily and a bit too eager. And these things are not scared of a spin, are they, Guillaume?
for the past few minutes. We're almost halfway through the distance in this first race, and still nothing is done yet, I would say, between Riley and Louis. And there's some more battles happening further back, as you can see, with in third place is not Robin Donat, but Enzo Baracciani. We'll try to keep that in mind once and for all. While Antoine Laquet just behind. So once again, that's down to what we said before, is that you don't get to see only battles happening at the forefront of the field, but as well within the midfield. And we have a 3-driver battle, and that could be, Chaz, a good opportunity for Maxime Lénard if he managed to get past not one, but just the 2 drivers in front of him.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping now that Antoine Laquet closes up on the back of Baracciani and starts to have a battle with him. I mean, as we were saying during the interval where they were getting the server reset, I should say, we saw that these No Limits racing cars are not scared of fighting with each other, especially Antoine Laquet. We saw last time that he was having a go at Louis Laquet, who of course is now trying to chase down a race leader. We're on board now with Max Lénard, and the gap is opening up and closing up. It's very much the accordion effect as Antoine goes very deep there, misses his braking point, and there is the accordion effect, but he actually manages to get a good run coming back on because it's opened up the corner for him. Bit of oversteer there from Max Lénard. But this battle is now going to be for the final podium spot, and with half of the race ready to go now, we are still in for, well, very much a treat, I imagine. And like you said, still a lot can happen in 15 minutes. I mean, 15 minutes is an absolute age in motorsport time. So I think Max has probably just been assessing his targets at this point and just hanging back thinking there's no point in pushing too much now. He knows that the gaps ahead aren't opening up too much. It's 5 seconds back from Laquet to Baracciani. But this is now looking like the start of an attack here, Guillaume. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. I'll do a quick update in French, if you will.
Lights as well. He's actually really trying the distraction techniques now. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Voilà, chers amis, si vous nous rejoignez maintenant, nous sommes à mi-distance dans cette première épreuve de ce soir sur le circuit Paul Ricard, donc la 5e manche du championnat virtuel de Funcup Series by Riley Motorsport. Et vous voyez, nous sommes à bord de la machine, non pas de Robin Donat, mais de Enzo Baracciani en pleine bagarre là-bas avec son équipier du No Limit Racing, Antoine Laquet, qui vient de lui ravir la deuxième position. La 3e position, toutes mes excuses, Antoine Laquet en 3e place devant Enzo Baracciani, et qui avons-nous derrière? Eh bien, Maxime Lénard au volant de cette 339 du M3M Motorsport Team, et cette livrée qui rappelle la Flower Power, cette livrée florale de bien bel effet face aux livrées toutes de noir vêtues, mais non moins élégantes, évidemment, du No Limit Racing. Donc la bagarre à 3 depuis quelques tours, et Maxime Lénard qui va peut-être tenter de prendre l'avantage sur Enzo Baracciani, et c'est presque fait pour Maxime Lénard qui va prendre sans doute l'avantage à la corde de la chicane de la ligne droite du Mistral, avec peut-être les 2 voitures avalées en un seul virage. Non, ce n'est pas encore le cas pour Maxime qui a tenté de se déporter à l'intérieur et de prendre le meilleur, mais voilà, c'est chose faite, meilleure traction en sortie de virage, et Maxime Lénard qui gagne une position sur Enzo Baracciani, qui ne peut que constater les dégâts pour l'instant, même s'il se maintient dans l'ombre de son rival pour l'instant. Mais une position de gagné pour Maxime Lénard, et on disait Enzo Baracciani qui est encore très très menaçant là-bas. Il a gardé justement une bonne vitesse en sortie de courbe, et va peut-être pouvoir en profiter pour reprendre l'avantage sur Maxime, le leader provisoire au classement, on le disait, qui vient de gagner donc une position, 4e place désormais pour Maxime, qui n'a pas dit son dernier mot, puisque la 3e place lui tend les bras. C'est Antoine Laquet juste devant lui, ceinturé par les pilotes du No Limit Racing pour l'instant, Maxime Lénard, sorti du dernier virage, alors que devant, la bataille pour la première place fait toujours rage entre Riley Phillips et l'autre des frères Laquet, Louis, en 2e position, mais comme on disait, un écart qui aussi entre la seconde 2 et la seconde 5, mais qui a tendance à être constant de tour en tour, alors qu'on approche bientôt des 10 dernières minutes de course dans cette 5e épreuve du championnat virtuel de Funcup Series. Mais la bataille à 3 pour l'instant retient toute notre attention avec Maxime Lénard qui vient de reperdre une position. Superbe manœuvre de la part de Enzo Baracciani qui a repris la 4e place au détriment du leader du championnat. Décidément, ce n'est pas le déroulé de course que Maxime espérait sans doute, celui qui s'est lancé depuis la 3e position avec des ambitions de victoire évidemment derrière la tête. Lui qui mène le championnat et qui, avec une ambition, parvenir à sécuriser un maximum son leadership est l'un des moyens évidemment d'y arriver, c'est d'engranger un maximum de points et de terminer le plus haut possible de la hiérarchie. Mais les frères Laquiez et Enzo Baracciani No Limit Racing ne l'entendent pas de cette oreille. Superbe bagarre en tout cas entre ces trois-là. On va suivre évidemment ça de très très près jusqu'au terme de cette première épreuve. Et Maxime Minard qui a peut-être un coup double à jouer là-bas avec une troisième position qui lui tend les bras et la quatrième place de retour dans les mains de Maxime Minard qui fait l'intérieur à Enzo Baracciani de bien belle manière là-bas. Superbe bagarre en tout cas entre ces trois-là. Et cela fait les affaires des deux leaders qui en profitent pour creuser l'écart. 8 secondes 9 pour l'instant entre Louis et Antoine Laquiez en deuxième et troisième position. Mais il n'est plus question de victoire, je pense, pour aucun des trois pilotes à l'écran, mais bien de terminer, pourquoi pas, sur la plus petite marche du podium. On est ici à bord de Antoine Laquiez avec l'attaque de Maxime Minard qui prend l'intérieur et qui va peut-être tenter un superbe dépassement par l'extérieur au freinage de la chicane. Est-ce que ça passerait pour Maxime Minard? Car évidemment, il ne peut pas buter sur l'arrière de la machine du Limit Racing et c'est souple et ça se fait en douceur. Superbe passe d'armes et ça passe pour Maxime Minard en troisième position. Third place, Chaz for Maxime Minard. It was actually a well-managed overtake.
Yeah, he was really on it there, but I tell you what, that was some very feisty stuff from Max Leonard. But still, Laquiez comes back at him now and down the inside as well. Baracciani, that's so feisty between these guys. The two No Limits cars, no matter what they try and do to team up on him, it's not working at all. And Leonard, it looks like, is holding on to this now, but you never know. It can turn around very quickly. But the first move that he made was very opportunistic. And like I said before, he was just waiting for the pair of them to start fighting. He was going to make his move. We saw a beautiful switchback from him. But then, to be fair, Laquiez did the exact same back to him as well. So he got what he gave in that situation. Laquiez isn't going away now. He's certainly not backing out of this. And why would he? He's putting on a great fight, and he's gone down the inside into the left-hander. Looked like a bit of contact, bit of oversteer from Max Leonard. It might have just been the tiny taps. Car oversteers again onto the brakes to the final corner. He locks up. There's the switchback again from Laquiez. Oh, actually, Baracciani's made a mistake. So I think Leonard got away with that there, to be honest with you. Otherwise, Baracciani would have been through as well. But that's opened up the gap. What a great bit of opportunistic stuff there by Laquiez. But like I say, I think a tiny bit of contact may have pushed Leonard into that lock-up. But we can breathe for a second. We can calm down a bit because here's the race leader, 1.5 seconds clear of Laquiez. That's Louis Laquiez. And that gap has closed up a little bit more, but then 11 seconds back is this rabble. And Antoine Laquiez and Max Leonard, they're going to have to wear boxing gloves for the next one if they keep this up, because this is fantastic stuff. So they're tearing strips off each other, knocking down bollards all over the curbs. It's brilliant, beautiful racing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, we expected battles all throughout the field, and this is happening once again. Louis Laquiez and Antoine Laquiez on track with Maxime Minard just in between them, down in fourth place. Antoine and Maxime battling once again very hard, and Maxime's going to try to go around the outside. He's going to do it again, once again, this time. Maybe successful, we shall see. But same strategy for Maxime, who's going to try to go around the outside in the entry of the chicane and then in the inside on the exit. So it worked. It worked out quite well the lap before. This time around, yes, he does it again, and smooth and clean for Maxime Minard. But look at the Antoine Laquiez who actually tried to cross his line, and maybe he's going to try to align himself on the inside line in the very senior right-hander coming up now. And it's going to be once again very tight between Maxime and Antoine Laquiez. And Laquiez has the advantage now, back in third place. What a fantastic battle as we just entered the 8th last minutes of this race. And look at Maxime going around the inside once again. You know, I think they're gonna battle just side by side until the very end. I don't see any other way between those two, and a bit of a mistake over there was a bit wide from Antoine Laquiez. You know what? One driver who could actually take advantage of the situation is Enzo Baracciani, just behind. Is sitting in 5th place at the moment, and is watching closely. But as you can see, he keeps himself in distance from the two, because anything will happen between Maxime and Antoine, and as well a contact. And if any of those two take each other off, that could be 2 places gained for Enzo Baracciani in 5th place.
Yeah, we saw earlier that it was Max that was in that seat, just waiting to see if anything happening from the rubbing doors down the straight now. Honestly, we need to just put them in a padded cell together and just let them have at it at this rate. They're still making contact down the straight. Antoine's just moving over a bit, saying, come on, you stay over that side of the track, sunshine. I am not letting you have this line. Breaks a bit later now. Max is side by side with Barricciani. They sort that out. Actually, no, they don't. Barricciani shoulder barges his way down the inside. Pushes Max out wide. Antoine's going to be watching in his mirror, laughing his head off at this. Max is in fourth position now, still with his headlights ablaze. I think the contact actually upset Enzo a little bit. And it might have just lost him a bit of momentum through this very tight and twisty section then. Nearly a bit of contact. Barricciani onto the back of Max Leinard. I realise that I say his name differently every time. Apologies, everyone. But to be honest, Antoine Lachiez, he wants this gap to open up, but it's just not going to, because every time Max defends successfully from Barricciani behind him, he then closes the gap back up again. And this, of course, is for the final podium spot. They're now 13.6 seconds off the back of Louis Lachiez. And those guys at the front will be very pleased to see that gap opening up. Fortunately for these boys as well, though, Soyez is 10 seconds behind them. So they're very open as Max sends it down the inside, locks up a brake, he's sideways, and that's not going to work. Although there's going to be contact. Oh, and Max loses out. And to be honest, rightly so, he committed to the corner again. And after locking up and running wide, he still tried to make the apex rather than backing out of it. And to be honest there, Guillaume, I'm quite glad that it wasn't Lachiez that got turned around, because he would have been the innocent party there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. We feared actually for an incident like that to happen, but unfortunately for Maxime Linard, he was the victim out of the contention. But it was beautiful racing between those three. But he could have well ended up the nicest way possible with those three making it to the finish line unhurt. But in this case, Maxime Linard just went for a very ballsy move. And just around the inside of the chicane, Minister Straight, it just didn't quite work out the way he wanted. But you had to try it, and he just went for it and lost it. So, Chaz, we just entered the last minute and a half in this race. Still, the battle is raging for the lead between Riley Phillips and Louis Lachiez. And in this last or penultimate lap, we shall see. But we haven't seen anything yet, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, these boys are not. They're not going to let anybody rest on their laurels at this point. They're certainly going to be going for it right until the very end. Riley Phillips has not got this in the bag, because that gap has definitely come down to Louis Lachiez, and it's actually gone up to Antoine Lachiez in the background. It's 17 seconds, but we'll keep an eye on Riley then and what he can do to defend this. Louis, of course, closing. This is the battle between Mohan Ajouj and Vincent Duclos, a bit further down the order. 40 seconds this race left to go. And this will be the final lap then. So Riley leads them out of the chicane. The gap's now down to 0.6 of a second. Looks like Riley got a good run, though. You can see it just opening up, although actually now he's in the slipstream. It's starting to close down again. So it's fluctuating this way and that way between these pair. Can't say anything bad against Louis Lachiez for the commitment into this final lap, because he's pushed him all the way. And Riley Phillips has soaked up the pressure very well indeed. And that menacing black No Limits racing car behind him certainly looking feisty. A couple of corners left for Riley Phillips, though. Into the left-hander. He's going to then control the car all the way down here into the final section of the circuit. Flat out, I imagine he'll be putting his foot through the firewall in this car. Into another left-hander. You can see the body roll of the car as he gets it settled. Uses all the curb on the left onto the brakes. Louis Lachiez can't do enough. And race one of the evening is going to go to Riley Phillips. Beautiful drive, well controlled from the very start. Louis Lachiez is going to take a very well-deserved second place, though. Great drive all the way to the end there, Guillaume. That was fantastic.
Yeah, beautiful drive, as you said. From start to finish, there was really no position strong enough for Riley Phillips in this race, even though Louis and Antoine Lachiez going a bit wide into the last corner, but he's managing to finish in third position. Once again, beautiful results worth mentioning for the Lachiez brothers, stepping onto the podium once again, as they did back in Lodenon. But Riley Phillips has been absolutely unbeatable, even though Louis tried his best at decreasing the gap and keeping the pressure on as much as he could. But it wasn't enough for Louis to get past Riley Phillips within the 30 minutes of this race. But race 2 is coming up, and there's going to be some revenge in the air from the Lachiez brothers, certainly willing to fight against Riley. And considering that we're going to have a top 8 reverse grid, we're going to have Merwan Jude from the No Limit Racing team starting from pole position with Vincent Ducluseau alongside him. Then we're going to have Axel Soyer and Maxime Linard on the second row of the grid. And this is where things get once again interesting, Chaz, as we're going to have Maxime, who wasn't so lucky into this race with the incident into the chicane that we saw earlier. But this time around, it's going to start before Riley and the Lacaze brothers. So we're going to see a chase certainly from those 3 drivers behind against Maxime.
Because these cars at the front of the pack are going to have to defend from the guys coming through. Riley Phillips, you can see on the right-hand side there, the blue and yellow rear end on that car, but do not be fooled. The front of it is white. So depending on where you're looking at it, you might think it's a different car, but he's going to line up 8th on the grid then as we reverse the top 8. 1 minute to go. The guys will sit and wait on the grid very patiently. You can see some of them have put their headlights on there, lighting up the pit wall on the right-hand side. Not quite necessary in the middle of the day, but some of them like to use that as a bit of mind games, a little bit of tactics. But the pole sitter then is Mohan Hajouj, and alongside him on the right-hand side of the grid, pink with the purple, or you could say magenta, and yellow flashes on that, is Vincent Ducluseau. And 3rd on the grid in the all-blue car is Alex Soyers. We didn't see too much of those guys, so a little bit of a battle between Hajouj and Ducluseau over the line there, which determined the grid for this race. But the guys you can just hear as well in the background, or you might be able to, they're just giving it a bit of revs, getting ready to go, just trying to intimidate each other that bit. But half an hour and another race ahead of us here. The lights are ready to come on. And these boys are very excited to get this underway then. Red lights are on, and the second race of the evening at Circuit Paul Ricard is away. And let's see who gets a good launch. Looked like a very good launch, actually, from Christoph Schinkel, who starts from the back of the grid. He got an absolute nightmare of a start last time round. He's managed to clear Eric Steinlin already. Holding on to the lead then is Hajouj, but Ducluseau is trying to go around the outside into turn 1. Soyers is defending the inside line. Nearly takes it 3 wide, but look at this. Ducluseau hangs it around the outside. That's going to become the inside. Does not work, though, and cuts the nose off him. Does Hajouj. Max Linard's dropped down in the background. I think Max Linard might be off. You know, he's really dropped down. Schinkel's dropped a couple of places as well. So has Eric. So has Soyers. I'm not sure whether Soyers came back on and took some of those boys out there, but he was certainly running deep into turn 1. Riley Phillips is trying to get past Barachani in the middle of that, but that is second place. Louis Lacaze now up into 2nd position. Oh, running wide there, though. That's Barachani, and he's surely under pressure from Riley Phillips, which is what caused that, but he's going to give it him back. But quite a chaotic opening here to this second race then, Guillaume.
Yeah, definitely, and not the start of the race that Maxime Linard had hoped for. Once again, some trouble for the provisional leader of the championship as the field makes his way onto the Mistral straight, the back straight onto the chicane. Nous sommes partis, chers amis, pour le départ de cette deuxième épreuve au menu ce soir avec un excellent envol de la part du poleman Merwan Hajouj, 8e de la précédente épreuve, et au gré de la grille de départ renversée, nous l'avions au départ en pole position. Vincent Ducluseau qui s'est lancé en première ligne, a perdu 2 positions de l'aventure dans ce qui sera le premier tour de cette épreuve de 30 minutes à nouveau, avec Louis Lacaze et Antoine Lacaze en 2e et 3e position. Grosse bagarre là-bas avec Vincent Ducluseau qui tente de conserver sa 4e position, mais qui va tenter de ravir la 3e place à Antoine Lacaze dans le virage de Signe. Très très rapide virage à droite, alors que vous avez Riley Phillips en pleine bagarre là-bas avec Enzo Baracciani, l'un des nouveaux venus pour cette épreuve du No Limit Racing Team. Riley Phillips, vainqueur de la première épreuve, on disait qu'il tente de se frayer un chemin dans ce peloton très très nerveux dans ses premiers instants de compétition. À l'écran, Maxime Linard au volant de la 339 engagé, on le rappelle, confirmation pour le Belgian VW Club pour l'épreuve de ce soir, et qui également tente de se frayer un chemin dans le peloton. Maxime Linard qui s'est lancé depuis la 2e ligne mais qui a perdu des plumes dans un premier tour assez chahuté. Il est 6e pour l'instant, Maxime Linard, après une première épreuve déjà compliquée pour lui, alors qu'il tente de capitaliser sur ses précédents très bons résultats. Ces 2 4e places de Le Dénon qui lui permettent de mener pour l'instant la danse au championnat. Mais nous ne sommes que dans les premiers instants de cette 2e épreuve avec Riley Phillips, vous le voyez, qui pour l'instant est qui est occupé pour l'instant, mener la vie dure à Enzo Baracciani. juste devant lui. C'est la bataille pour la 4e place que vous avez à l'écran dans un peloton très très serré dans ces premiers instants. Et Ray Phillips qui va tenter de prendre l'avantage au premier virage et c'est fait pour le jeune Britannique qui prend l'avantage et qui accrochage malheureusement pas entre Riley Phillips et Enzo Baracciani, je pense, qui est resté sur le carreau là-bas. Et non, c'est Antoine Laquiez, pardon, qui vient de perdre gros dans l'aventure après cet accrochage avec Riley Phillips. Aïe, 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 on redoutait évidemment ce genre d'accrochage. On l'a vu tout à l'heure entre Maxime Lénard et des frères Laquiez là-bas lors de la première épreuve. Et c'est ici Antoine qui malheureusement en est la victime et qui va perdre gros puisqu'il rétrograde en 7e position. Maxime Lénard 5e et Riley Phillips qui se ferait un chemin jusqu'en 4e position. D'ailleurs, Enzo Baracciani toujours en 3e place. Some bit of a trouble over there for Antoine Laquiez, Chaz, I'm afraid, who just lost big into the incident, down in 7th place.
Yeah, and to be honest as well, at the end of, coming towards the end of the first lap as well, Duclos was down the inside of Antoine Laquiez. There's going to be a change for the lead here. Surely Louis Laquiez now going for the lead on his teammate Mouan Ajouj. Makes it nice and easy for him into the chicane, and Louis is going to try and run away with this lead now. But yes, big contact there between Riley Phillips, who I think we hadn't mentioned previously from Andrew Phillips. Was Ajouj is now off the circuit.
Yeah.
It's away for half a second. And before you know it, he's off the circuit. There, Riley Phillips flashing the lights at him as he goes past as well. But there was Riley Phillips has jumped over, I believe. We got told by Andrew that there was some of these, what we'll call invisible walls that you can hit if you hit a curb, and it really chucked the car up in the air. It was almost dragster style. It almost did a wheelie. And then he went into the side of Antoine Laquiez. Not really much Riley Phillips could have done in that scenario. Just a bit too much curb. But Duclos was also battling with Laquiez into the chicane the lap before. And after a bit of contact there, the two of them were side by side going into the right-hander at the end of the long straight. So as they got all the way down there, it was called Piscigne, I believe it's called. If I've butchered that, Guillaume, I'm sorry. But as they got to the end of the straight, I believe that Antoine just turned in. There's a bit of contact there between Sawyers and Duclos. He's really making a few friends this evening, putting dents in everybody's cars. But Axel Sawyers manages to spin the rears up and get it turned around. He's got Christoph Schinkel there just trying to take the place from him as well. Down the inside he goes. So Sawyers not having the most straightforward of races. I think Sawyers was actually involved in the incident at the very start as well. Nearly, I think there was a bit of contact there with Schinkel. Into the final corner they go. Schinkel down the inside. Sawyers tries to get the cutback, makes it work. But all of this time, was just losing the back end there. That was Eric Steinlen just lighting up the rears. I think he did that on the infield as well after the first section of the lap. There's a rejoin and a half for you, everybody. Peter Andre Guillaume there just behind him. Now those two are going to get in a battle into 10th and 11th place for those guys. But Riley Phillips now up to 3rd place already and chasing down Baracciani.
Yeah, that's what you call a hectic start of a race, isn't it? With so many things happening in the course of just a few laps, and your battle on the circuit right now is between Riley Phillips and Enzo Baracciani. And Riley Phillips, making his way up to 2nd, but not for long, as Enzo is trying to fight back against the British drivers. What a beautiful battle we get to see. 5 seconds down, Louis Laquiez, who couldn't ask for more just to build a gap and really pull away from the rest of the field. So really the dream start of the race for Louis Laquiez, unlike his brother Antoine, who is down the order. Antoine Laquiez in 6th position. We're searching for him. But the battle on your screen now is for 2nd place. Riley Phillips now back into 2nd place into the chicane of the Mistral Straight. But Enzo Baracciani is going to try to go around the outside in the corner number 6. And further down, we have the battle as well between Marwan Ajouj and Maxime Lénard in 4th and 5th place with 0.6 of a second between them. Riley Phillips, who can actually hold his position with Enzo back in 2nd, but Riley is going to try to go around the inside of the track once again. Yes, he does. And it forces actually Enzo to go around the outside and to go wide into the line. And Marwan and Maxime could actually take the opportunity to decrease the gap and get close once again. But once again, we have battles all throughout the fields, battle for 3rd, battle for 4th place as well. And the only one who has no worries in the world in this first part of the race is Louis Laquiez, who is pulling away 6 seconds between himself and Riley Phillips on your screen. But Riley has actually much more things to do than considering the lead, is to try to keep Enzo behind him down in third place. And Maxime Lénard is trying to recover as well from the ground that he lost previously into this race. Down in fifth place, we're on board the still provisional leader of the standings as we speak. But after the trouble he occurred into the race one, he still has a lot to do into the second race. The first thing is try to get past Marouane Adjoudj, who was a brief leader into this race after losing some ground down to fourth.
Yeah, Marouane, whoa, really hanging the back end of that car out there, and that makes life easier for Max Lénard. And he is going to go through, surely, although Marouane manages to carry the speed. No, Max gets rid of the overlap and into turns 3, 4, 5, and 6, this very complicated section. He has got the job done there and into fourth place. But like you say, tough little break there with that the contact in race one. And now, of course, Max is really going to be pushing to try and catch up with Barachani, but with the attentions of Adjoudj still right behind him, it's not going to be that easy for him. So we go onto the straight again. You can just see Riley Phillips there. Second place, 5.6 seconds off the back of Louis Laquiez. But we'll see how quickly he closes up over the course of the next lap or so. You can see Adjoudj just poking his nose out there, just trying to have a look at Max Lénard, and he goes down the inside. No, he doesn't. He backs out of it, but he's putting the pressure on. Max goes a little bit deep into the chicane. Maybe Adjoudj can get a good exit. Doesn't look like he's managed to pull that off very well there. He was trying it, though. He was certainly giving it a go, and that's the thing. In the sort of early stages of this race, I mean, we're barely 10 minutes in now, 1/3 of the way through the race. You just have to give it everything, because while the field is a little bit closer than it will be at the end, you don't want guys to run away from you, do you?
339 aux couleurs du Belgian VW Club et qui va sans doute tenter et peut-être réussir à prendre l'avantage sur Enzo Barachani en troisième position. Voilà, c'est les apports de Maxime Lénard pour l'instant qui va tenter de prendre l'aspiration dans la ligne droite de départ et d'arriver au freinage du premier virage à gauche là-bas. On va tenter de prendre l'extérieur et peut-être de déplacer son adversaire. Ça passe peut-être effectivement pour Maxime Lénard. Et contact malheureusement pour Maxime Lénard qui passe à 2 doigts de la sortie piste et parvient d'extrême justesse à rattraper la dérobade de ses machines. Où c'était très très chaud là-bas entre Maxime Lénard et Enzo Barachani. Et regardez qui en profite derrière, et bien c'est Marouane Adjoudj qui leur demandait un temps pour reprendre l'avantage sur Maxime Lénard. Maxime qui perd à nouveau gros là-bas dans une tentative tout à fait logique au premier virage. Il a tenté le tout pour le tout là-bas dans ce qui était une des zones de déplacement les plus propices de ce circuit de Paul Ricard. Il y a à nouveau une petite descente là-bas, un contact. Et Maxime Lénard qui a perdu du terrain et s'est fait rejoindre par Marouane Adjoudj. Et dans le même temps, eh bien, Enzo Barachani a creusé l'écart de nouveau sur sa troisième place, mais peut-être plus pour très longtemps, parce que Maxime Lénard a conservé quand même un rythme assez soutenu et ça va lui permettre de reprendre l'avantage sur Marouane à l'approche de la chicane. So there was a bit of a moment over there for Maxime Lénard. Chaz was going back into contention against Marouane Adjoudj, making his way into the chicane back in fourth place, but he just came close to lose it all over again in this very little incident.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, to be honest. I wasn't expecting the contact to chuck the car out that much, but as you say, he really lost out there, and he had to then go up against Adjoudj. But he's back in contention now, so he's doing absolutely fine. But he needs to just shake Adjoudj again, because he's not able to get rid of him at this point. And then, of course, he needs to try and close up again to Barachani so he can have another go. But it's easier said than done. We're just about to hit half race distance here at Paul Ricard. And the gap between Laquiez at the front and Phillips has come down by about a second since we last checked. So he's not making massive inroads at the minute, is Riley Phillips, but he's still doing enough to chip away at the lead of Louis Laquiez, to the point where Louis will notice. He'll see the times coming up, and he'll just think, okay, maybe we need to step this up a bit. But to be honest with you, I think he'll be flat out as it is, because when you're in the lead of the race, you don't want anything to compromise you. They do very similar lap times, actually. 0.004 of a second difference last time round. Riley Phillips did a 2:31.839, and it was an 8:43 an 8:49 and 8:53 for Laquiez. So only 0.004 of a second difference over a lap. I'd say that's pretty close, wouldn't you?
Put together by Enzo Barachani on this one, because he's the new kid on the block, shall we say, when it comes to the championship. This is the first time that we get to see him driving one of those Evo 3. And Max Minard is the current leader. I think he might want to go for a move over there. Yeah, I think he's got the pace. And just maybe before the braking into the chicane, he's going around the insides. Yeah, close. But I think he's going to have the upper hand indeed into the chicane on the Mistral Straight. And Maximilian making his way up to fourth, and not quite yet. As a beautiful fight put together by Enzo Baracciani. But I think, in this case, Maximilian has the upper hand, and he's got the speed on the exit. And will it be good enough? We're not sure yet.
That was really, really nicely held around the outside there by Enzo Baracciani, but still, Max Leonard just took it back to him on the exit, although Enzo sent it back up the inside then at the end of the straight as well, so gutsy stuff from both of these guys, not letting anything slip, but Enzo just carries so much pace around there. He really kept it planted. Max is a little bit out of shape into the next right-hander, and just behind him as well, as Chaz is going to try and take advantage as well. He goes a bit deep into the next right-hander there, a bit sideways on the exit as well. But all of these No Limits racing cars are starting to close back up as Max Leonard sends it down the inside then on Baracciani. Oh, a little bit of a hip and shoulder. Baracciani runs wide. Max has just got rid of the overlap, but now they're all swarming behind him. He's thinking, oh, just leave me alone. All I want is a podium. Just let me race, boys. Then all these, obviously, they're all French drivers, and Max Leonard as well is just trying to hold on. And these lot are thinking, you're here to ruin our French countryside. We're going to absolutely have you. But look at it now. All three of them right behind. The light up in the rear tyres there from a huge car sideways. But once again, we're going to see this here on this one, but these No Limits racing boys, they don't care if they're teammates. They're going to fight amongst themselves now, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all what we can expect for the less than 10 minutes now, 9 minutes remaining until the checkered flag. And, it's up to see what they're going to do, working together to try to get past. And a bit of a moment over there, I think. Yes, for Marijuana Juju, just lost control of his car for just a split of a second, I think. He just lost a position over there. No, still behind in 5th place, but it was very close. Antoine Laquies down in 6th. But a bit of a moment over there. 4/10 of a second between Marijuana Juju and Antoine Laquies down in 5th and 6th place. Down in 7th is Vincent de Cluzo, but further back, the battle is on, and this is a battle for 3rd place, as Maxime was able to pull a bit of a gap, 1 second between himself in 3rd and the trio of drivers from No Limit Racing.
Yeah, that was a real good scrap developing there between those boys, but unfortunately, it managed to put itself to sleep a little bit there with Chaz just lighting up the rears a bit too much. This is the gap back at the front then. So this is Laquies with Phillips just 3.6 seconds behind now. So again, in the sort of 8 minutes that we've not really watched these pair, the gap has only come down by another second. So Louis just needs to continue doing what he's doing at the moment. And I think that he's going to have an easy ride to the end. And interestingly enough, as we go on to the rear wing camera there, looking back, it was quite entertaining looking back from the Max Leonard car at the 3 No Limits Racing boys all chasing him down the back straight. It looked like he was being chased by the Mafia or something. As Baracciani comes into the pits there, but yeah, I go back to my point. It looked like the Mafia had bought a load of Volkswagen Beetles and decided to chase him down because it was just loads of black cars chasing him down the straights in all different angles and speeds. It just looked absolutely fantastic. But a quick stop there from Enzo Baracciani. Not sure whether that might have been a stop and go or something. Maybe you can inform me on what that might have been there, mate, because I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, that's surprising indeed from Robin Baracciani. We didn't expect that at all to happen, and that's a shame because he just lost a lot of time, obviously. Down in 6th place though, in front of Vincent de Cluzo for 7 seconds. But he was fighting for a potential top 5.
Sorry, mate. I think Andrew's just saying track cuts. He reckons he might have been taking too many limits with the track limits there, so he might have got a drive-through. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's something indeed that we forgot to mention or to remind you, even though you might be familiar with the rule if you've been following us since the start of the championship. But up to 10 cuts, that's a drive-through penalty. So there you go. There is the reason for Enzo Baracciani to go back and go back in and out of the pit lane as fast as he did. 10, this is a drive-through. up to 10 track cuts. And that's part of the rules, of course, that you have to respect if you want to compete and be efficient in this championship. You're not allowed to cut the tracks more than 10 times, otherwise you get a penalty. And results, potential top 5 results lost for Enzo Baracciani, down in 6.
Yep, it's starting to spread out a little bit between those guys now. Although I say that, actually, Ajus is on the back of Laquiez again, but this is Louis Laquiez at the front of the pack doing a fine job. 3.6 seconds, still the gap to Riley Phillips in second place. There will be one more lap to go. As you can see, everybody, 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. This is the battle between two teammates once again. Red versus blue, Laquiez versus Ajus, and it's not going to go away. Team orders are not a thing with these guys. I think that's what we can definitely determine from this one. And the 440 machine chased by 408. And Ajus, you can see, taking different lines there, and he's actually putting his teammate under pressure here. And I suppose they know that they're probably not going to catch Max Leonard without a mistake, so they think, why not? We may as well battle amongst ourselves, have a bit of fun out there. It is called the Fun Cup at the end of the day. But with less than 2 minutes now to go. Oh, and there you go then. So Ajus is, well, clearly cut the circuit one too many times, and he's managed to go into the pits as well now. So these no limits racings, drivers are finding out that there certainly are limits, and they're track limits.
Yeah, actually, the bit of a background story behind the No Limit Racing name is from the creator of the team, who decided, there's no limit to what we can do, just push it all the way for victory. And it seems like there was, as you said, no limits for them. But when you go beyond the limits, at least more than 10 times. There you go, a drive-through penalty. Unfortunately, it means two potentially good results for Merwan as well as for Enzo, lost in the process, but that's part of racing, and especially as goes back, to what we discussed coming to this race, Chaz, with the track limits and the runoff areas on this particular track, making it so maybe easier, or temptation to go beyond the limits is maybe bigger on this track, considering that you don't lose as much time as on the other circuits with the runoff areas. So here are some of the drivers of the No Limit Racing team that just fell into the trap of going too many times over the curbs. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly easy to overstep the mark a little bit, to be honest, and I think that some of these drivers are now, unfortunately, managing to overstep, said Mark. Let's have a look then, as the timer has ticked down all the way. So this is Antoine Laquiez in 4th position, but this is your race leader, Louis Laquiez, and it looks like here, Guillaume, I'll hand it over to you, mate. He's going to get this done with just a couple more corners to go, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Chaz. Et voilà, chers amis, nous arrivons au terme déjà de cette double épreuve du Paul Ricard, la 5e manche du championnat européen virtuel de la Funcup, the Virtual Funcup European Series. Ce sera la victoire, le drapeau damier pour Louis Laquiez. Le chrono s'est arrêté, comme vous le voyez. Conclusion de cette deuxième épreuve et une resplendissante victoire pour Louis Laquiez. Magnifique résultat. Je pense en tout cas que la course est conclue. Oui, en effet, il vient de lever le pied. Superbe victoire pour Louis Laquiez qui s'impose à nouveau comme au circuit du Le Dénon il y a 2 semaines de cela. Victoire devant Riley Phillips, le pilote britannique du Viking Team. 2e place pour Riley après sa victoire en course 1. 3e place pour Maxime Linard qui sauve le podium après ces quelques petits ennuis lors de la première et également lors de cette deuxième épreuve. Quelques petits contacts, ça fait partie de la course évidemment, mais Maxime qui parvient tout de même à sécuriser un excellent résultat au final et engranger pas mal de points dans l'optique du championnat. C'est important, on ne cessera jamais de le dire, avec Antoine Laquiez, le deuxième des frères Laquiez du No Limit Racing Team, qui boucle cette deuxième épreuve en 4e position. 5e place pour Enzo Baccianari, le jeune pilote français, qui est donc remplacé au pied levé Romy Donat sous les couleurs du No Limit Racing. Baracciani, j'y arriverai, 5e place en tout cas pour lui, devant Vincent Ducluseau, Axel Soyer 7e, Eric Stenling 8e position devant Pierre-André Guillaume, Christophe Schinkel et malheureusement Marwan Adjoud du No Limit Racing Team qui n'aura pas vu la conclusion de cette deuxième épreuve après sa pénalité sur drive-through penalty pour avoir franchi à de trop nombreuses reprises les limites de la piste. Ça fait partie de la course, évidemment. Désolé pour Merwan qui n'a vraiment pas vu le terme de cette deuxième épreuve ici sur le Paul Ricard, remporté de main de maître par Louis Laquiez.